Oh boy, do I have a treat today. So, we're going to be covering, and see if I can even fit it in frame, this honker right here. This is a Argentine 1909, and I'll probably put some pictures down in the description so you guys can get a better look at it. But yeah, this is a Argentine 1909 Mauser, and you can tell it's quite large and very long. Just like pretty much any of your standard 98 pattern Mausers, if you will. So, but yeah, this is full infantry length, full length Argentine 1909 Mauser, based roughly on the Gewehr 98 pattern of rifle. So it can take basically most of your Gewehr 98, G98 compatible parts, things, furniture, that kind of thing. But it does have a few differences and updates because, of course, the G98 was officially brought into service in 1898, and this is, of course, was made in 1909. This particular rifle was made in 1910. I looked up the serial number. But in 1909, of course, it was a little bit later, so they had some improvements for the rifle that Argentina wanted to replace their old 1891 Mausers, which I have a separate video on as well, so make sure to check that one out. And you can see a huge difference between the 1891 pattern and a standard, quote-unquote, standard 98 pattern rifle. So this is the newfangled, new and improved Mauser for Argentina at the time. So yeah, I I was at my, of course, favorite gun shop as always, and I was there with my lovely girlfriend slash soon-to-be wife, and she loves Argentine pretty much anything. She really liked my Argentine 1891 Engineer's Carbine, and she liked it so much. She asked me, "Is like, hey, is there any other Argentine type style Mausers out there?" And I said, "Absolutely, there is." And so we go to my favorite store, and wouldn't you believe it, they have this gorgeous rifle sitting right there on the rack. And I asked the guy, "Hey, can I see that Mauser real quick? It looks a little different." And the reason why I said that is because the way it was sitting on the rack is like this. This is pretty much how I see it. However, the bayonet mount here, and you can see here, was a little bit different. So I thought, there's something different about that Mauser, and I wonder what it is. Well, this particular type of bayonet attachment here, let's see if I can get this to sit correctly. There we go. There's a big rifle. This bayonet attachment style is for Argentina to reuse their old 1891 pattern Remington rolling block style bayonets to fit on here. So they figured, we can save a few bucks instead of using the standard Mauser 98 pattern rifle. So let's just put this handy dandy little adapter on here. We can use all of our old bayonets. So saved a few bucks there. So that's what this is for. And this is a telltale sign as well for a Argentine 1909 Mauser as well. So the other features that this has is the upper handguard here, as you can see, is a I guess you would call full length shrouded around the rear sight here, which is very reminiscent of, let's say, my Persian Mausers or a Yugoslavian M48. Has the wood back here, and it's all the way surrounding the rear sight and goes all the way up to here. Now, I'll do a separate comparison video between this rifle and my Persians, just so you can see the little bit of differences that go with that. But yeah, this one also features a hinged floor plate, which to me is a little bit difficult to actuate. However, if you look at this piece here, you can see kind of in the trigger guard here, that's not normal for most 98 pattern Mausers. And so what that does is you got to press on it a certain way. I'm not entirely sure how, but I think you press it out. It's really stiff because I don't think this feature was really used hardly at all. But you press in, it's really stiff. There we go. So you press the little lever out, and out pops your magazine. So that's pretty cool. If you need to do a quick kind of emptying of the magazine for whatever reason, training and administrative purposes, you certainly have the option to do that. And this will click right back into place. So there you go. Pretty cool. The other thing that this lacks from other 98 patterns as well is the lack of the secondary set screws in here. So normally the two action screws here on a regular I guess regular Mauser, will have little set screws here with the main screws that will prevent the main screws from rotating. So a bit of over-engineering from the original German design, but they do work quite well. But this, of course, on this design, they are absent. Do I think it makes a big difference? Not really. So the sling locations are also a little bit different because on regular 98 pattern Mausers, you'll see a sling mount here on the trigger guard, and as well one a little bit further up towards the front with a different style, not a completely closed loop like this one. So those are some minor differences. The rear sight as well, of course, is different from your standard 98 pattern because 98 pattern has the roller coaster sights, and of course the K98s went to this style of standard, I guess you could call standard tangent leaf sight here. An interesting feature that I found though with this is, and I didn't know they actually did this, was there's actually a small ledge built in the inside here of the rear sight that keeps it kind of locked down at the rearmost position, which starts at 300. So in order to get this rear sight up, you can't just push it up like that, like most Mausers. You have to actually push it forward a little bit, and then you can move it up. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. You can see a little focus there. You see that little hook that's built into the rear sight there. That keeps the rear sight secure when the slider is all the way to the rear. And you have to finagle it just right. So that keeps the rear sight in place. I think that's a pretty neat feature. I haven't seen that on really any other Mauser except the 1891s also had a similar feature with the slider on the leaf sight itself. Had a built-in kind of cutout for that kind of thing. But it was not really all that secure. I've seen other examples where that slider is just super loose regardless of what position you put it in. So I think this is probably a little bit more well thought out design. So of course you have your straight handle bolt handle there, and you may have noticed on this particular example the receiver has actually been blued, and you can see some evidence of age or perhaps a little bit of imperfection there with the bluing process, especially on the bridge right here that you can see. It's kind of a orangish brown color, so a little bit of imperfection there with the bluing process. However, as these rifles originally came from Germany, they were supposed to be in the white for the receivers. So given the overall condition of this particular example of the metal, the receivers, stock, everything, I am inclined to believe that this was Arsenal refurbished or refinished at some time before it came to the States, because I also cannot find an import mark anywhere on this rifle. So something tells me this was surplused out of Argentina's military pretty early on and made its way to the States here. So however it did that, I don't know, but I'm glad I can enjoy such a well-preserved, well-looking piece like this. So the wood is in fantastic condition, but it really does feel to me like someone did do a very slight refinishing job on it, maybe cleaned it up just a little bit. But of course, it has the usual scuffs and marks that you'd expect from a rifle that's more than 100 years old. So you can see the 2 scratches there. You can see a little bit of a serial number, which is pretty cool to have it on the stock as well as the receiver. And an interesting point that I also have not really seen on other Mauser barrels is right here, and it's really hard to see because it's kind of black on black, but right here you can see, maybe if you can see it, but I guarantee you that says 765 on the barrel to indicate this is, of course, 765 Argentine, 765 Mauser, 765 Belgian, whatever denomination you choose. That's the caliber, of course, that this is chambered in. So that gets a little bit to how this thing shot. So 765 Argentine is roughly equivalent to like a somewhat weak 308 cartridge in terms of power. So it's not at all a slacker. It's not as, I would say, not as powerful as an 8mm Mauser, but that does have some benefits in terms of like pleasantness of the shooting experience with this gun. So this being the same size as like my Persian Mausers that are in 8mm and everything, noticeably less recoil, noticeably less. And of course the spring, the striker spring, firing pin spring, whatever you want to call it, of course, needs a little bit less power to set off the cartridges. So the just smoothness of the action definitely feels a little bit lighter to me, especially when you fired a shot, and this is of course a cock on open action. It requires much less force to open it and cycle than any of my 8mm Mauser rifles do. So that's another bonus to the pleasantness of shooting. It's a very, very smooth action. No problems whatsoever. Trigger is pretty standard military. I mean, it feels just like my Persians do. You know, nice, predictable, crisp, everything you could want it to be. It's not like a super duper hyper match trigger, but it was never meant to be, because of course this was a infantryman's rifle from way back in the day. So for the stripper clips, so there have been a lot of debates, discussion about which stripper clips you can use for which rifles. I have found success in using regular G98 pattern stripper clips and also the 1891 pattern stripper clips. Both of them work in this gun. Although I will say we have encountered some difficulty in using the 98 pattern stripper clips because the cutout here for the clips, it's a slightly different dimension, and it has that little tiny hook right there on the front end right there. You can see where I'm pointing at. That can catch on the clip itself because the 98 pattern clips have those little ridges like on the side of them, and that can make it just a little bit more I don't know, what's the word? A little more difficult to feed them into the action and strip all the rounds into the gun properly. With the 1891 clips, works just fine. There's no problem at all. Just slide that right in there, just boom, done, easy. So, but I've had success with both styles, so no problems there. As far as reliability, of course, it's a Mauser and it's in great condition. I've had no issues at all with it. Ejection is very nice and positive. Action is very smooth. No issues. I was very happy to learn as well that when I went to go clean this thing for the first time, you know, scrub out the bore and get all the dust off of it, all the old grease and everything. Whoever had this last did put a lot of grease in the barrel, so a lot of that was kind of dried up in the bore and kind of built up in there. So it took a little while to get it out, but all the signs that I was seeing, looking down the bore and everything, and doing the bullet muzzle test, you know, sticking a bullet in the front end here, see how far it sits, all of that checked out pretty well from what I could tell. So rifling's good, bore's good, crown's good, front end of the muzzle's good, and I expected good accuracy out of this, which is pretty much what we got. So I've not been able to take this to 100 yards just yet because the weather that day wasn't really cooperating. However, we did test it at 25 yards, 50 yards, and at 25 yards, you're basically getting the same hole every time, as to be expected from, you know, something with a sight radius, you know, that long, right? And of course, you know, German Mauser quality. These things were built amazingly, and they still hold up to this day. Of course, you know, when they're well taken care of, they tend to last. So accuracy at 25 yards, same hole every time. Accuracy at 50 yards opened up to about an inch, you know, maybe an inch and a half, depending on, you know, the skill of the shooter and just how you're feeling that day. But you know, indicative. It's a very good indication that the accuracy at 100 yards is going to be about what I expect it to be, which will probably hover around that 2 to 2.5, 3 inch mark, 4 inches at the absolute worst, depending on the quality of ammo, of course. But anything under 2 inches with this gun, with iron sights at 100 yards, I'd be quite happy with, to be honest. So, I mean, like I said, with my other Persian Mausers, the best I got out of those was, I think, like 1.4 inches at 100 yards. So, yeah, I would expect the same level of quality with this one here. So I did shoot quite a wide range of Argentine ammo out of this. So your regular PPU 174 grain bullets out of this shot just fine. I had some surplus as well that I wasn't quite sure where it came from. I want to say it was from like the Argentinian government arsenals. I'd have to look at the head stamps again, but it was old surplus ammo from like the 70s. So that shot just fine in here as well. Every ammo that I put through here shot accurately. It shot well with no issues at all. No light strikes, no pierced primers, nothing like that. So this thing has performed absolutely excellently, and I'm very, very happy with this purchase, and so is the woman. She is very, very happy with this, and you know, despite her only being like 5'3", 5'4", she's not a very, very big woman. She'll take this thing standing up and just shoot it, no problem whatsoever. So I am very happy that she can enjoy a very quality Mauser just like I can. So I'm beyond grateful for that. So finding a woman that appreciates these kinds of things is rare, to say the least. So, but yeah, super happy with how this thing turns out. This thing is just like amazing condition, even with the refinishing here of the receiver and the bluing. I guess if you want to call it refinishing, rebluing, whatever. Everything else about this gun is totally fine and perfect. There's no issues with it at all whatsoever, and I expect to get many, many, many more years of use out of this gun. Of course, now I need to shop for a proper bayonet for this. And oh yeah, and I also forgot the best part. This thing's all matching as well. So matching stock, matching bolt. Even the even the cleaning rod is matching. It's got a little serial number engraved right there on the side. So that's really, really cool. But yeah, this thing just cleaned up really, really well. Whoever owned this last really did a good job in preserving this. Maybe they didn't really shoot it all that much at all, because when I scrubbed the bore out of this thing, there was no real, it wasn't the carbon fouling that you'd expect from a gun that was shot a lot. And heck, even the bolt face itself looked almost brand new. So whoever had this last really didn't shoot it hardly at all, that I can tell. And I'm all the more grateful for it, because it just means a better condition for me. So yeah, but yeah, this particular model was in fact made in Germany. It was not one of the Argentine made ones, whatever adjective you want to use, because Argentina did make their own 1909s at some point. But this particular one, serial number falls outside of that range. So this one was absolutely 100% made in Germany. So if you ask me, and I've said this before in my 1891 video, that these South American Mausers, the ones that were in fact made in Germany, are every bit as good as the, German-made Mausers that everyone likes today. So like your Gewehr 98s, your K98s, right? All that. To me, these ones are just as good, and I don't mean that like jokingly. I actually do mean that. I think these ones are just as good, and in a lot of ways they are in better condition because they haven't been through 2 world wars and then some, right? So as the Wikipedia article for these 1909 rifles famously state, these rifles never saw actual combat. So that could be a reason why these things are in such great shape as they are. And same thing with like the Swiss rifles, the Swiss straight pulls, like they never saw quote unquote actual combat. So of course they're in great condition. But regardless of whether or not these were used in combat or not, doesn't really affect me too much. I just like having a really, really nice, cool rifle here like this that I can enjoy, and just really take it in for the old school, old world craftsmanship that you just don't see anymore, and it's just a nice looking rifle, everything about this just looks clean, and the fact that it strikes all those good points for me. So it looks good, it operates well, it's a great manufacturing quality, all those things put together, shoots well, does all that stuff that I want it to. This is I'm hesitant to say it, but this is like pretty much as good as my Persian Mausers. So I am very hesitant to give that kind of praise to a rifle because I absolutely love my Persian rifles, and the Czech-made Mausers are just absolutely fantastic, as anyone will tell you, as anyone who knows will tell you. But this is definitely up there in terms of quality and my personal enjoyment level, and as well, of course, for the lady. She definitely enjoys this rifle too, alongside my 1891. So I'm very happy that I came across this, but I gotta say, my favorite gun shop is just absolutely draining me of funds. They are killing me. Every time I go in there, there's always something I want, and I have to get it, and it's just it's bad for my wallet. But still, I get to enjoy a nice piece of history like this. So anyway, I'll let you guys get a little close-up there of the crest, which is also still on there and in great shape, by the way. Whoever did the bluing job on this did a great job. because the letters and everything are nice and crisp and sharp, and you know, this definitely was not Bubba in his garage doing a little hack job, you know, a little rebluing here or there on the side. But I really wish this camera focused better. But yeah, the letters on there are very, very crisp. I mean, the crest is super crisp. Just everything about this was done pretty well, except of course for the minor coloration imperfections there in the receiver. But hey, you know, given the condition of everything else in this gun, I'm okay with that. So anyway, once I get some more time with this to take it out to 100 yards to really see what it can do at distance, get some real accuracy testing out of it, which I will do a follow-up video on. And of course, I will do a comparison video with this versus my Persians, so people can get a, you know, I know it's a very niche topic, but there are some significant differences in how they made these things. Even the barrel profiles are a little bit different as well, among other things. So just to see an example of German manufacturing versus Czech manufacturing, right? So, and just, you know, get an idea for how differently they did things back then. So, but anyway, yeah, I thought I'd bring this absolutely awesome example of a 1909 to you guys, and hopefully there's some folks out there that enjoy these old guns like this just as much as I do. You know, especially when they're in great shape like this and you shoot well. Yeah, you can't ask for more, you know. So anyway, that's all I got to say about this rifle for now. But I will follow up with a accuracy video once I put this thing through its paces, and do a comparison with the Persians at a later date. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that for now. And yeah, if you ever come across one of these, buy with confidence. So I'll check you guys out next time.